Mr Deputy Speaker. It's a pleasure to follow the member from Stoke-on-Trent Central. At one point, I thought he might actually get to the point of admitting that problems that have been creating the economy were generated over the past 10 years and did not occur at the general election. Almost, but not quite. I think that most people appreciate that if you run up a massive credit card bill, the longer it is ignored, the worse the debt gets and the more it costs to repay. The disastrous condition of the British economy and the public finances that we inherited just 2 years ago cannot be underestimated. And yet, as we've heard many times tonight, the opposition not only failed to accept responsibility for the damage they inflicted, but they also refused to agree upon any sensible measure to help clear up their mess. The decisions that this government is taking to rebalance our economy and build a sustainable future may not be entirely popular in the short term, but they are the right long-term decision to take. If we compare our current economic situation with the economies of countries that we most closely linked to when the coalition first took office, the countries that were also borrowing massively more than they could afford, countries like Greece, like Spain, Portugal, Italy, we can see the different paths that have been taken over the past 2 years. You only have to watch the news, you only have to read the newspapers, or look at measures such as interest rates. Whereas the UK today can borrow at less than 2%, Italy pays 5.4%, Spain over 6%, and Greece over 22%. It is plain for all to see the dire straits that we have been rescued from by the present government. Reducing the deficit must be and is the #1 priority of the government, and their plan is supported by the IMF, the OECD, the Governor of the Bank of England and the major credit rating agencies. Indeed, both the IMF and the OECD have said that without reducing the budget deficit, then there can be no sustained growth. And yes, it is fair to say that growth has not been as we had hoped over the last 2 years. The international situation and the continuing Eurozone problems have proved to be a drag on the UK economy. But the reality is that the tough decisions that we have taken to clear up Labour's mess have laid the foundations for long-term growth and prosperity. And consequently, the IMF is now forecasting the UK to grow at twice the rate of Germany over the next year and 3 times faster than France. The coalition government has set our country's economy in the right direction, and the measures outlined in the Queen's speech will help to ensure that we continue with our underlying mission. On the specific measures announced within the Queen's speech, Mr Deputy Speaker, I do welcome the announced introduction of an enterprise and employment bill. As the Chancellor has set out on numerous occasions, the government has 4 overarching ambitions for the British economy. Firstly, to create the most competitive tax system in the G20. Secondly, to make the UK the best place in the world to start and to grow a business. Thirdly, to encourage inward investment and exports. And fourthly, to create a more educated and flexible workforce. On tax, we have reduced the headline rate of corporation tax, meaning that the rate will fall to 22% by April 2014, with the small business rate falling to just 20%. We have scrapped Labour's jobs tax, we have doubled entrepreneurs' relief, and we have announced numerous measures to address the complexity of the tax system. To help businesses take off and grow, we have improved the government's Business Link service, and we have introduced a new business mentoring programme. We have launched a national loan guarantee scheme, providing up to £200 billion worth of guarantees, allowing banks to offer lower cost lending to SMEs. On exports, the government has set out major new initiatives to help more SMEs to export and to help larger companies seeking to win major overseas contracts. And on skills, we have vastly expanded the availability of apprenticeships through funding incentives and the slashing of red tape. The introduction of the Enterprise and Employment Bill will build on that work that has already been achieved and help make Britain one of the most business-friendly countries in the world. I also welcome the introduction of a banking reform bill. Labour's failure to fix a roof whilst the sun was shining played an enormous part in our economic downturn, and the culture of unrestrained risk practised by the banks at the expense of hard-working savers certainly made a bad situation worse. Again, building on the action taken in the first session of this Parliament, a banking reform bill will help to protect us from the prospect of a similar banking crash occurring in the future. The recommendations of the Vickers report are to be welcomed. It is right that banks should not be able to recklessly gamble with people's hard-earned savings. We need proper regulation, and I look forward to the bill being put forward to the House. Mr Deputy Speaker, I do warmly welcome pretty much all of the government's programme outlined in the Queen's speech. Rome was not built in a day, and our economy cannot be rebuilt in just a couple of years. But the last 2 years have put the foundation stones in place for a prosperous and a sustainable future. We achieved a great deal in the first session of this Parliament, but there is still a great deal more to be done. Last week's Queen's speech is an excellent step in the right direction.
Evans.
Thank you, Mr.